Welcome to a three-part series with Amer Hasan, CEO of minicabit, where we're going to discuss the world of aggregators, which is one of the fastest growing and important services changing the way taxi and private hire companies operate. In this first part, Amer discusses what's an aggregator, what's the benefits of a transport provider joining an aggregator, what technology, if any, does a cab provider need to join an aggregator, what's the management effort in working with an aggregator, what are examples of successful aggregators in other sectors, why are customers increasingly using aggregators in the cab space, and whether aggregators work in all parts of the UK or just a few cities. Here's part one. Welcome, Amer. This is the very first episode, if you like, of our monthly discussions with experts in the field. And I know we met at the very successful PHTM Expo, but for people that have not come across minicabit, what was the history? How did it start?
So, firstly, thank you, John. Delighted to be joining you on this very first PHTM podcast. So, minicabit is a business I started at the end of 2010 in a very different era for the cab industry. And it was born out of a need that I saw, actually, whereby having spent about 9 years in the mobile phone industry, I worked for Vodafone in 02, and I could see how digital the customer was going. And at the same time, way back as a student, I actually used to work part-time as a cab driver, and I could see how old school some of the practices were. I saw an opportunity for a platform like minicabit to help bring both the customer and the cab industry into the digital era. And so that's what minicabit is. It's a UK-wide aggregator whereby customers and businesses can go on our website or our app or through our partners, and they can put all their trip details in, and based on a lot of data that we've taken from cab companies, we can present quotes from the different cab companies for customers to book through us. And then once the trip is completed, they can then provide feedback on how well or not the driver, cab company and minicabit have performed. So it's a modern day online platform.
What would you say are the key benefits for somebody who is a transport provider of actually joining your aggregator?
So I'd say the role of aggregators has really emerged in the last few years in particular. And that's because the customer has changed, right? So the ways how a normal local cab firm would find customers, take their bookings and fulfill the service has definitely changed. So before, a cab company would have to rely on dishing out their phone numbers on lots of cards or putting an ad in the local directory. And it's pretty clear customers now in all walks of life, whether the way they eat, travel, everything's being organised online. And so what aggregators like minicabit do, and we do it very well, is we help engage with customers online. So we will invest in marketing the overall platform to end customers through all sorts of different channels. We definitely make it easy for them to find a quote through our website. Importantly, we make it really easy for them to prepay for their fare. So whether it's through their credit card, PayPal, all sorts of different ways, we make that a very slick process. And then what's really critical is that the booking is sent to the cab company and that they're alerted so that they can fulfill it. And so if you look at all those different tasks, it would have before needed a cab company to invest in online marketing, building their own website or app, having to engage in lots of payment processing fees with an online provider, and building all the kind of interaction with the customer in terms of email confirmations and things like that. And so with minicabit, you get all of that out of the box. You don't have to invest in any of that, and you can focus on what you do best, which is delighting customers through sending a great driver to fulfill the trip.
So what's in the box? What sort of technology am I going to have to invest in if I'm a cab operator?
So the the great news is that with all the way we built the service, you can imagine back in 2010, so and some of that has actually changed actually, which is that a lot of cab firms around the UK don't have much technology in terms of a dispatch system. So they might still be using a spreadsheet and texting their drivers about a job, whereas some of the biggest fleets might have a very sophisticated dispatch system. So we built our platform so that any shape or size of cab operator could join. And so the most important thing they need to have really is just internet connection in the office, a broadband connection, and access to their email. And so whereas a really big operator that might have a sophisticated dispatch system, we've actually built our service so that it can plug into the biggest dispatch systems that they've got.
So looking at the type of technologies that aggregators bring on board, what sort of admin overhead or IT support would I need to actually think about putting into my company?
A good aggregator should make it really easy for a cab operator to join their platform. And so I'd say there are a number of important steps. One is, most importantly, there should be one owner of the relationship with the aggregator who has the authority to do it. The last thing you want is someone very junior in the office, maybe at the middle of the night signing up to a platform, and they get bookings and the whole team and the boss doesn't even know about it, and it's just surprising everyone. So it's important whether it's the manager, the senior controller, the boss of the company is fully bought into joining the aggregator. The second step typically would be on the pricing. So just to make sure that how the prices are set up reflect how the prices set up on the aggregator reflects what you would do the job for, and importantly what your drivers will do the job for. That also links to availability, making sure that the types of cars that you have available, whether if you've got a fleet of saloon cars, that's fantastic. If you've got a fleet of 8-seaters or executive cars, making sure that's accurately entered into the system so that you don't get too many bookings of the wrong type. And then once the bookings come through, and every aggregator might do it in a slightly different way, just making sure that the team in the office, and I mean not just the main team, let's say in the daytime, but it could be the controller who's working at 4 a.m. on a late Saturday, early Sunday morning as well. Know how to handle the booking and what the procedures are. So and I'd say finally briefing the drivers. So some fleets manage this differently. Some like to tell the drivers that this is a job from an aggregator, and for some they don't. But it's important that, for instance, if it's a prepaid job, that you don't want the driver mistakenly asking the customer for cash when it's all been organised up front through an aggregator. So it is very straightforward, and a good aggregator would make that whole setup process very easy for the business.
Can you give me some examples of how aggregators are appearing in other sectors?
Yes, I think it's really that's a great question, and it's really exciting to see that it's a tried and tested channel for businesses. So probably the closest example might be Just Eat and the restaurant and takeaway sector. So you have a huge base of restaurants and takeaways. Some don't have much technology in there, and so what Just Eat have done is over many years onboarded lots of different businesses around the country, and really packaged all the menus and the choices and the pricing in a very easy way to the customer. And so it's clear that a lot of these restaurants and takeaways are getting a lot of extra business that they wouldn't have seen in the past. In other sectors, of course, in travel, you've got Expedia and Airbnb, who have, whether it's for flights or hotels, have managed to build that into one big network. And what's increasingly common is some of these will start off with the big hotel chains, the big hotel groups and airlines in the biggest cities and countries, but extend eventually their whole service so that even a small bed and breakfast hotel can enjoy the same access to customers as the biggest ones. And I think that's the biggest benefit for providers, actually, which is these aggregators provide a level playing field for any shape or size of provider, and instead the provider can compete more effectively on price, quality, and also reach. So they'll be able to get customers, as many customers as a big chain would have as well.
Why are customers increasingly adopting aggregators? What are the drivers for them?
We see it in all walks of life. The way we eat, the way we travel, the way we watch TV, it's all being changed and transformed by technology. And so the number one thing is convenience. So in the cab space, if you're under 25, the notion that you'd ever ring up anyone for anything on the phone is going to be fading out. So they clearly want to engage with their services through an app or through a website. The idea of having one area that I can get all my quotes for all kinds of trips definitely is compelling to most customers. And I think the second thing is, we have seen new forces come into the market. So the rise of ride-hailing apps like Uber have set an expectation that I can whip out my phone, tap to call a cab, and the quality of service will be quite transparent and can be monitored and accounted for. And so aggregators, certainly the good ones, should bring that same technology, that same power to the rest of the country for all the different cab operators, not just a few.
Okay, and how widespread is this? Are there just certain cities that are adopting aggregators, or is this something that can operate anywhere across the UK?
Yeah, so if you look at in the other sectors, in restaurants you saw Just Eat, and later on you saw Deliveroo that came in and focused on the high quality restaurants, but they each only had a certain coverage in the UK. And if you look in the cab space, it's a similar thing. First of all, there aren't that many aggregators anymore. The quality ones have been left standing, and pleased to say we're definitely top of that tree. And also their focus is quite different. So there is an aggregator in London called Cabby that just focuses on London cab operators. You've got CMAC that really just focuses on the corporate market for corporate customers. In terms of a sheer national footprint, so from day one, we always, at minicabit, wanted to be that national network alongside Trainline and National Express. And so we've always taken that idea that the customer doesn't want to have any boundaries as to where they can and can't use the service. So in our case, we've got over 800 cab operators of all sizes on our platform. And in terms of bookings, we're definitely seeing firsthand the online revolution is spreading. So I remember in the first few years we used to say, we cover 50 cities, and then it was 300 cities. Last year, in 2018, we had bookings in 400 towns and cities. In May of 2019, it was 500 towns and cities. In June, it's 550 towns and cities. So we definitely expect the customer to be able to book online wherever they are through an aggregator, and that's what our mission is.
Thanks for listening to Part 1. In Part 2, how do aggregators work with existing dispatch systems? What are the costs involved in becoming an aggregator? Exactly who pays for what? And how quickly can a participant expect their listing to go live? So subscribe to PHTM Podcasts on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or wherever you're listening or viewing to get all our latest episodes with the people who are shaping the future of the private hire and taxi industry. And if you're an expert in the industry and would like to be part of future podcasts, contact us on 0161 688 7777 or email info@phtm.co.uk.